you read any more about the Second Amendment yesterday? Yeah, I don't want to. I'm done with that. We're not. Maybe I'll dive into that later on. As of right now, my opinion is completely and totally 180 on the Second Amendment. I don't think the Second Amendment has anything to do with the right to for an individual citizen to own guns. I don't think it has any bearing whatsoever historically, or in any part of U.S. history prior to that Heller case. I don't think any part of the Second Amendment has anything to do with individuals owning firearms. I had no fucking idea. I had no concept of the history of the Second Amendment or anything. I had no clue. But I don't even want to deal with it. Does it change your view on the morals of it? Fuck no. I like guns. I think they're fucking awesome. And I still don't think they're like a huge issue in terms of like crime or whatever in the U.S. Like I don't think that firearms are a motive. I don't think they cause as much damage as the Democratic Party takes on in terms of like political damage. But I don't think there's a strong Second Amendment argument for individual ownership of firearms. But can you TLDR what you read? It just basically the history of the Second Amendment. The idea behind the Second Amendment was just it had to do with the federal government and state governments being able to have individual militaries and militias and stuff, and it had to do with the idea that basically, please take all my summaries for U.S. history with a grain of salt because I haven't done like extensive reading. I think initially you had these colonies that develop into these 13 different state type things, colony. I don't know actually what they were even called prior to the United States. I think you had this thing called the Articles of Confederation, which I think were basically all of the states kind of wrote these like very loose rules where they're like, okay, well, we're kind of like a thing now, kind of, right? Not like Facebook official, but we're like kind of, we're in the talking, seeing phase or whatever, hopefully exclusive. You had like these Articles of Confederation, but they were pretty weak. The U.S. couldn't apparently we had a lot of trouble paying debt back, I think especially to France. We had issues like relating to foreign affairs and just like how would you deal with just a lot of stuff that it didn't do a good job at unifying us. So a lot of these arguments were made via like the Federalist Papers and everything where it's like, hey, listen, we need like an actual federal government. We can't do this. This is cucked. This Articles of Cuck Federation shit is not working out for us. But part of what was, really feared is like this idea of a federal army that could just destroy, every state army and that states wouldn't be able to manage their own type of defense anymore. And it was important that we enshrine, in the Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment, the idea that like, well, the right of a state to form a militia and everything will not be infringed. We're not going to do anything to prevent states from having militias. Federal government is going to come and take, like firearms and the ability for, militias to form away from the states. And I think that was the founding of the Second Amendment. The idea that the Second Amendment was founded for citizens to fight against the government doesn't seem to be true. It seems like the founding of the Second Amendment was for states to fight against the federal government. That seems to be the case. But maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. But fuck me. If anybody has any strong historical arguments for the Second Amendment having anything to do, like even one writing, and maybe I would change my mind on it. To be fair, I only did like a cursory search. But if there's like a single historical writing about the Second Amendment or a Federalist paper about like private citizens owning firearms, then my mind could be like changing the other direction. But as of right now, I didn't see any. Jesus. If you could push a button that deleted all private firearms, including criminal, do you think that it'd be worth going down a tighter gun control nation, as the issue of self-defense would not require people to have firearms as a counter to other people with firearms? I don't think that's really why we have firearms. I don't know if that's even necessary. And the data, as much as I am a big fan of like self-defense, gun use, and ownership, the data doesn't really bear out even that owning a firearm helps much for self-defense.